Hello, so today we're going to start our studio collage skill builders, and you're going to need a cup of thinned glue, and the thinned glue is in a little paint container like this, marked thin glue. You'll want to shake it up, and then you're going to get a plastic cup that has a black line on it, and you're going to fill the glue up to the black line and share with your star partner at your table, your shoulder partner. Your paintbrush cannot sit in the cup without knocking the cup over. So the way that you set your paintbrush on the cup when you're not using it is like this. So it hangs over the cup if it drips, but then the handle's touching the table. So this first one is overlapping tissue paper to create a seascape. With landscape, cityscape, or seascapes, when you're doing collage, you always work from the back to the front. So background to foreground. So I'm envisioning kind of a horizon line here in the middle, water on the bottom half of the square, and a sunrise or sunset on the top half. So I'm going to start with this thin glue and paint that on. Notice I'm using a stiff bristle brush. I don't want you to use the green or red handled paint brushes that we use for paint. I want you to use these stiff bristle brushes for the glue. And I'm going to start on the outer edge, and I think what I want to envision is like a sun in the middle and then rays of changing color. So I'm going to start with this fuchsia color around the outer edge of the square, and I'm just going to tear these. You could cut these, and you don't have to do a sunrise or sunset. If you want to do a sailboat on the water or some birds in the sky, you want to do a blue sky and some blue-green water, that's completely up to you. You're the artist. Just whatever you want to include in your cityscape. You're the artist. Anything that you want to include in your seascape, that's completely your choice. So these are kind of hanging outside the square, so I'm pulling those off a little bit. And then after you put a layer of tissue paper down, then you're going to put a layer of glue over the top of the tissue paper, which helps to make it and keep it flat and lay flat. So remember, the description is use overlapping tissue paper. So I'm making sure this tissue paper is touching and overlapping each other so that I don't have any white paper poking through the tissue paper. So now I'm going to put some glue on the bottom and start working on my water. And I'm going to go light water to dark water because I'm envisioning the light water is closer to the sun and the dark water is closer to us or the viewer near the bottom. Torn tissue paper. I know I keep tearing mine. I just like the look of it. You could easily be cutting your pieces. Don't cut them too big though. Cut them smaller to fit into this small square. Overlapping, remember, so they need to touch and overlap. So you're not going to be cutting big, large rectangles and just gluing them down. More smaller pieces. Okay. Now I tried to avoid leaving large puddles of white glue sitting on top, and see what happens is the tissue paper smears and streaks, the colors change, and I don't want that blue on my yellow, so I'm cleaning off my paintbrush from the glue and trying to scoop that blue off. So what I need to do is just pull side to side. I can't go up and down because then the tissue paper bleeds and bleeds that color into the other. Okay, so the next one is torn newspaper. So all this tissue paper I have, I can put that back in the drawer, and I'm going to get out some newspaper, and I'm just going to be tearing this again into smaller pieces and gluing that down. So I'm going to take my glue on. So you're just going to take this newspaper and small torn pieces and glue them down, filling the box. So overlapping and no plain white paper poking through the newspaper. And then again, glue, paint it over the top. Our collage pieces should be sticking up off the paper. They should be laying down nice and flat. So when you put this glue layer over the top, It seeps into the paper and holds it down. Create a mini still life using construction paper. So just like with a seascape and a cityscape, you got to start with a back. So first thing I have to think about is, what do I want to be putting in my still life? You know, a still life is like fruits, bowls of fruits on tables, things that can't get up and move away, vases of flowers. What I'm going to do for my still life is a bowl of fruit. So I want to think about, what color do I want the wall behind my bowl of fruit to be? And I think I'm going to choose a nice piece of purple that I got out of the Collage Studio drawers. I'm going to cut it to be wide enough for the box, and then trim it like that. So that's a pretty good square. So I'm going to use regular glue for this. So I'm going to put a frame of glue on the back of this. Glue this down first. Then I'm going to make the table that my bowl of fruit is going to sit on. And I can see the floor, so I realize that I need to add a color for the floor. But now I need a bowl of fruit. So I'm going to do a blue bowl. I want it to be symmetrical, so I'm going to fold this in half and cut a bowl shape. So that will be my bowl. Notice I didn't glue it down yet because I'm going to make my fruit that goes in it first. Collage Studio, you're going to find hole punches. Hole punches make great, perfect little circles. The first thing I want to do is put some fruit in the bowl, and I think the bowl is a little bit too tall, so I'm going to trim this down a little bit. So I'm going to put some fruit in the bowl, so I don't want to glue down the bowl just yet. I'm going to kind of arrange my fruit in the bowl. Glue on the bowl and glue it down. So notice how I worked back to front. So I did my wall and my floor, my table, I'm gluing my fruit down, and now I'm gluing the bowl down in front of it. You have to work back to front when you're doing collage work, and that can be tricky. And so there's my still life. And then the final box is create a mini cityscape. So the first thing I need to do is the sky again. I'm going to do a blue sky. And there I have my finished collage scale builders. Close the glue bottle up nice and tight. This cup will need to be run under hot water and your paintbrush. Swish it around, get the glue out of there, and you'll probably have a place for you to soak these paintbrushes. And that's how you create and finish your Collage Studio scale builders.